So $20 and some blueberry Pop-Tarts.
And Apple told me $1,000.
Yeah, so that fixes
And I've had that for 10 years now.
That fixes your iMac, apparently.
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's the going rate on the street.
So hey, I'm Katie Gibbs.
I'm Vanessa Van Alstyne.
And
this is ArtIswear, a special interview edition that actually has both of us.
Woo! Hi guys. I'm interviewing.
You were so red spiking on the who's.
I'm so excited. I can't help it.
So today's interview is with a special guy. This is our Loving Valentines podcast, and we are speaking with...
Wait. Our special Loving Valentine's Day podcast, and the topic is...
Murderabilia collection.
Murder, memorabilia, and art.
Yeah,
see, it all ties
collecting is part of art, and this is just a different kind of art. It would probably qualify as like folk or outsider art. We'll have a podcast that explains those a little bit better, but folk means untrained. Outsider is supposed to mean that you're mentally ill or incarcerated or in an institution and have lived outside of society.
Right.
Our guy is Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi. If you're wondering who that bassy voice was earlier, that would be Sam.
Who apparently has hookups to get a Mac fixed for Pop-Tarts and $20.
Yeah.
It's the going rate.
If only we'd have known. Sam I met on a reptile forum because he also does wet preserves. Would you like to plug your wet preserve business?
My Instagram is @deadthingsinjars. So I do custom work. Send me a direct message.
And if you're wondering what that is, if you'd ever want to like stuff fluffums in a jar of formaldehyde and keep fluffums forever, whatever fluffums is, as long as it's not human, Sam can help you with that. And if you just want to get rid of the fluffums you've had in your freezer forever, Sam can also help with that.
Sam can't help with the reasons you're keeping fluffums in the freezer, but he will preserve fluffums for you.
Poor fluffums.
Why did it have to be fluffums?
Why does it always? It's always fluffums. It's always the one that's like, damn it, now I've got to get one exactly like it so the kids don't keep me up night all squealing in the attic.
One, you normally keep your kids in the attic, and two, so what iteration of fluffums are you on?
I don't have any kids.
What's this fluffums a keyword for? Secretly.
It's whatever. We're just
It's whatever your little heart desires to keep as a pet, because you can't do things like name your cat Mouse. People look at you.
I'm going to use fluffums as a code name in my writing now.
there you go. Fluffums.
Do you know fluffums? That'll be the next hook.
Do you know where Fluffums is?
Have you ever seen a Fluffums?
It's 8 o'clock.
Fluffums.
It's 8 o'clock. Do you know where your Fluffums is? Okay, so...
Yeah, my husband and I have been having debate about what we should do with his 17-year-old cat when something finally kills her, because she's already survived terminal breast cancer. And I'm all like, I could give her to Sam, and he's like, I don't think I want to look at that.
I have someone's dog in my freezer, unfortunately.
Nice.
A Chihuahua.
Aww. Do they want to keep the Chihuahua?
They want to keep the head.
Okay.
But I don't want to just do the head, because I feel like it's disrespectful to just cut a head off of a pet.
I think you might need to move forward, Sam. You're a little quiet on here. There you go.
Say that thing you said again.
So yeah, it's kind of disrespectful to just chop a head off, I guess.
That's better.
It's fresh, so as soon as it died, she froze it. As opposed to other instances where I get something that's halfway run over, I can't use the whole thing, but
Right.
I don't want to just chop the head off and give her the skull like she wants. I want to kind of make some memorial pieces out of it and hope she likes that better.
By the way, if the words murder memorabilia didn't already clue you in that this is going to be a darker podcast, I would hope that this topic has already just steered that way and you've turned it off, but...
Right, and there will be clues in how we name the podcast, because we haven't had a name for this episode yet. Murder Memorabilia mashup.
It's interview with the Murder Memorabilia podcast.
Whatever makes you happy.
Or collector.
But you should know
I'm not interviewing a
podcast.
podcast.
You're not interviewing a murderer.
Well,
I would do that, but I wouldn't put it on ArtIswear.
So please, use discretion. Obviously, we're going to be talking about some difficult things. Maybe don't let your kids listen to this one.
We say that a lot, but like if you have a kid that's like baby Vanessa, this would have given her nightmares, but then everything gave baby Vanessa nightmares.
Baby Katie would have listened to this like
Yeah.
3 times over, so.
Everyone always says, "Oh, you're a poor kid," and I'm like, "My kid's gonna be awesome."
Yeah.
Because he's not gonna be small-minded, and he's gonna know a little bit about everything instead of a lot about nothing.
Well, and that's the thing, like, I understand shielding or not explaining death to your kids till a certain age, but it's part of life and it's going to be there no matter what happens.
Right.
A pet's going to die, grandma's going to die, you might die. So the more okay they are with it, the less traumatic it's going to be. Like, my ex-husband used to have this crazy friend up in Denton whose girlfriend grew up thinking that she was a robot that was never going to die, but that she couldn't talk about it with people because her mother didn't want to deal with having to tell her that, yeah, everybody dies and you're going to die. So at like 22, she found out she wasn't a robot and like had a mental breakdown.
I think she was headed that way anyway. Let's be real here. That was going to happen.
And yes,
It's just funny because you said robot and breakdown.
yeah, I don't even mean to.
Oh, the puns. Okay, so Sam, how did you get into this?
And by this we mean writing serial killers and murderers.
Explain what you do first, and then maybe a little bit of how you got into it.
I write people that are currently incarcerated and or on death row awaiting execution for crimes. My dad spent about 23 years in prison, so I was kind of already used to getting letters from prisons in the mail and sending letters.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's my dad, and it's not just some random person that I don't know, but, you know, I just kind of am already comfortable with that aspect of it. A lot of people are like, wow, it's kind of weird, you know, but they always kind of pull you to the side afterwards and tell you, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool, you know.
Right.
They just don't want to admit it in front of everyone because it's not, you know, it's not a cool thing, you know, that you just spend time writing people that committed crimes and killed people and,
right.
you know, I mean, it's kind of a touchy subject for people because not everyone was raised, you know, being comfortable with the fact that death actually happens. You know, they're raised, oh, you can do anything and you're going to live forever, you know, and that's not really the way that it works.
You're a secret robot that I snuck out of a lab.
Yeah, so I need some oil. I'm a little rusty.
All right, Tin Man.
Yeah, I write probably 50 people right now. I've gotten a couple of responses here back and forth, and I'm carrying conversations and trying to befriend them because at the end of the day, they're still people, and you know, they committed crimes, and their parents or family probably disowned them because of what they did. So everyone always kind of needs someone to talk to, no matter what. I mean, we're all people, so.
And that's one of the things I wanted to stress when we're talking about this in this podcast is I know what these people have at least allegedly done is horrible, and we're never going to argue with that. We're never going to argue that it was right, but they are still human beings, and that's part of what makes it interesting.
Some of them just had a bad day.
Yeah.
You can't really take someone's entire life and base it off of one day. That's kind of shitty.
Right.
I don't think that anyone would want
Their worst
their
day.
entire life to be based off of one day, whether you did something that was illegal or not. I mean, everybody has bad days. Some people just cross the line.
And then, like, because he's already gone over what he has a lot with us, and you look at the people that are incarcerated, and it either, like, blew up in the media crazy, or they're impoverished. And, you know, there's people who are, like, murderers that were pretty much dead to right, like T. Cullen Davis, who was a Fort Worth oil man and allegedly gunned his wife, her 12-year-old daughter, the boyfriend, and her other child down. I think the boyfriend and the daughter died. And he tried dressing up like a woman while he did this, and it was really weird. And he was put on trial, but he's a billionaire now, so he was never convicted. Whereas a lot of the people that are in this book are, you know, they couldn't afford a defense attorney that was going to get them off.
I saw a thing yesterday. It was like a photo, and it was like, if you don't have a right to an attorney, one will be appointed to you. If you don't have health insurance, you're out of luck.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that were poorly, you know, represented in court and, you know, whatever it may be. But, I mean, the fact of the matter is they're still in a cell that's smaller than a parking space all day long, barely any sun, 24/7, and they've been there for 20 plus years. Even a letter in the age of text messages and emails can make their day. And I mean, like I said, I don't condone it, and I'm not defending them at all, but I mean, if I can write them a letter and possibly change their life, why not?
Right.
And I also don't feel like we're not going to probably bring up families, but at the end of the day, the people that suffered because of what these people did, yeah, that's very unfortunate. But like I said, once again, the people that killed them are still human beings.
Right. So the victims' families, still have their burdens to bear. The families of the people who did it still have burdens to bear. We're not trying to
demean that for anybody here.
Right.
And, and that's why there are some laws on the book so that people like Sam can't easily make profit off of this. They call them Son of Sam laws. Do you want to explain that a little bit? Or, like, what's a Son of Sam law?
I believe that's what you were talking about earlier, right? Where they created it, and if they don't claim it, then the prison or wherever they are can claim it.
Yeah, because the son of Sam, who was a serial killer that was schizophrenic, I believe, made
David Berkowitz. He signed letters, Son of Sam, is that what it was? That was his dog was telling him to murder these people, basically.
And he was making so much money off of the notoriety. The state kind of stepped in and said, like, you don't have a right to make money off of this, and they can control what's distributed to a certain amount, and they make money off of like book deals and stuff, whereas he does not.
Right.
There's a lot of people that I write to that they'll do art or whatever, and they'll always say like per my case or attorneys or whatever, like I can't even sign my name and claim this as my art.
Right.
And if they do, they get in trouble for it. Like if they use like their signature of what they did while they were committing their crimes and draw it or write it on the paper. I mean, they can get thrown into the shoe for months, just for drawing something tiny. But, I mean...
Yeah, and that's the Son of Sam law.
So, from Wikipedia, basically, Son of Sam is designed to keep criminals from profiting off the publicity of crimes, often by selling their stories to publishers, blah, 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 blah. Son of Sam laws are not intended to enable asset forfeiture, thank you, the seizing of assets acquired directly as a result of criminal activity, where asset forfeiture looks to remove the profitability of crimes by taking away money and assets gained from the crime. Son of Sam laws are designed so that criminals are unable to take advantage of the notoriety of their crimes. Such laws often authorize the state to seize money earned from deals such as book or movie biographies and paid to the interviews, and use it to compensate the criminal's victims. So there you go.
Yeah, I know, like, one of the people that's been big behind that and keeping the people involved in the murder is Sharon Tate's sister, who, Sharon Tate was one of the people murdered by the Manson family, and, like, every time one of those girls go up for parole, or Manson does, she's there and is like, no. Or they try to, like, do an interview or stuff, she'll, like, actively get it blocked because she doesn't like how they talk about her sister. What first got you, like, who was the first person you wrote?
I think the first person I wrote was Jablonski, just because I have a couple of friends that have already written him in the past, and I kind of knew that would be a guaranteed reply. I didn't want to get my hopes up really high and then not ever get a reply, because it happens. There's a lot of people that don't write you back. And I'm kind of one of those people that I get my hopes up really easy, so I wasn't trying to get let down on the first one and just give up. So I wrote someone that I knew would write me back, and now he sends me all kinds of random stuff, and I couldn't get him to stop writing me if I wanted to. But he's a very interesting guy. So
yeah, you have quite a few of his like pictures and paintings and drawings and some of his beard hair,
Christmas cards, and all kinds of stuff. So
what did he do, and like a little bit about him, so that people are going like, what?
A little backstory, yeah.
Well, like I was talking about earlier, he had a rough home life, which I mean everyone did, but this was back.
It was really rough.
It was in the older days where people weren't as open to talk about things as we are now. So he kind of grew up in a bad home, and all he ever knew was his dad beating his mom. And so, I mean, that's kind of how he grew up, and that's the way that he showed affection, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he started to associate violence and sex.
I'm not quoting
thing.
him on this. You know, this is just from what I've read, and I've read his books and talked to him and stuff, and you know what I can read because his handwriting's terrible. But he killed some people, and he kept track of all of it on a tape recorder and
On
carved
inside
it
his
into a
belt, right?
He wrote it into carved it on the inside of his belt, and yeah. So a couple of the people that he killed were actually pen pals from when he was sentenced the first time. He started writing people, and then when they let him out, he went and found them. So
what kind of safety precautions do you use when writing people like this?
I have a P.O. box.
Right.
I don't talk about my kid.
Right.
If they ask me if I'm married, I'll tell them. You know, a lot of them are still married and have kids, and they understand, you know, that I always just make it a point to let them know that it's just a pen pal friendship, you know, and that I'm just an open, non-judgmental set of ears to hear whatever they need to talk about, or, you know, just chat and let them know that what's going on in the outside world, I suppose.
Right.
You know, I mean, a lot of them have TVs and stuff like that, so they watch the news, and some of them have access to the internet, can send emails and go to websites and stuff, so. But there's a few that, you know, they can't even get a newspaper, so.
Right,
know,
and it's that personal contact. They like to know what's kind of going
on, so. I have a P.O. box, and I just don't really tell them, you know, anything about my family. You know, a lot of the people that I write are baby killers and stuff like that, so I wouldn't feel comfortable just telling them, oh yeah, I have a 10-month-old son.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I've told maybe a couple of people, you know, that I have a kid and a wife and stuff, but, I mean, they're people that are from completely different crimes, you know, so.
Yeah, you told me too you don't write federal cases.
Yeah, that's just my personal preference, though. I just don't want to, because so many people have so many ties to people outside, and it's just not worth it. You know, like I have a P.O. box, but still, I mean, my P.O. box is in my town, so.
Right.
And the internet exists, so I'm sure that anyone can find me from anywhere in the world in less than 5 seconds.
Right.
That is a legitimate concern.
So, I mean, I you know, most of the people that I write are, you know, doing life sentences, or they're already, you know, on death row or whatever. But, I mean, I do write some people that are going to get out, you know, but, I mean, they know that, you know, I have a family, they have their own family, and when they get out, they're going to do their own thing, and, you know, they'll either be different and live their life, or commit the same things and be back in.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, really, it's just a matter of me trying to connect with someone, you know, that everyone else sees as just someone that got thrown away and forgot about for 20 years. Because, I mean, a lot of the people in Texas have been on death row for, you know, 20 years, 25 years, you know, and they're just there because their case wasn't that big, and it wasn't, you know, blown up by the media, because if that would have been the case, they would have been
there would have been
sentenced,
all sorts of political
they would have already
pressure,
been dead, you know, in 3-4 weeks. Well, I mean, these people are, you know, people, I can't even iterate that enough, you know, like these people are just sitting in a parking space. Like, next time you park your car, look at a parking space that's empty next to you and think about having to stay in that space for the rest of your life. And then just think about, like, someone sending you a letter in the age of emails and text messages and stuff. Like, that would make me happy.
And that's one of the things I want to stress about what you personally do. You don't write these people to flip what they.
No, I legitimately am interested. You know, I'm not. A lot of them, you know, they don't really talk about their crimes. They talk about their kids and their hobbies and what they enjoy eating, and, you know, what they'll do if they ever got out. I mean, some of them, you know, will tell you, like, if I ever get out, I'm going to do all of this stuff all over again.
Right.
But majority of the people, you know, you can watch all the interviews you want on those people before they were sentenced, but now writing these people, they're completely different. You know, they're educated and they understand what they did is wrong. And I mean, there's a lot that don't, and they don't care, but, you know, they're going to be there forever, you know, and they'll eventually be executed or whatever. But most of them have changed. You know, they're helping other inmates on their cases, trying to help them be released, and, you know, giving back, and probably making your license plate, or, you know, whatever, your kids' toys. I know there's a couple of prisons that have, like, little wood shops that you can go in the prison and, like, go and buy stuff made by the inmates in their gift shops and stuff. So,
and that's one of the things that really, like, I think that the prisoner art's kind of famous because you had the murderer John Wayne Gacy, who made the Pogo the Clown paintings that kind of propelled forward some things like the Son of Sam laws. But a lot of these people they draw, or they write poetry, or they make music, or they do something to kind of rehabilitate themselves in a way while they're inside of the system. And you even had a letter in your binder about one guy talking about how important art is to him. And, I can't help but wonder, like, maybe if that had been something that was more available, maybe it would have helped channel this, or
I have
put it off.
Tons of people that ask me for money so they can just buy art supplies, canvases and paints and oils and crayons and whatever. I mean, even just finger paint on a piece of paper, whatever lets them kind of release whatever they have going on in their head would make a huge difference. I probably have, out of all of those, there's probably at least 50 in there where people ask me for money so they can buy stuff to make art. And they tell me, hey, I'll make you some art and send it to you, as a thank you. I mean, they're not just asking for a handout.
Right.
They'll give you things in return, but it's not really that big of a deal to me. I just enjoy the fact that, hey, I might be making this person's day by getting a letter or sending a letter or whatever,
And to be fair, like I said, there are people that actually do flip it for money, and they'll kind of ask if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that, sell this stuff, and, that's their business. And I don't have a problem with that at all, but they tell the inmates, hey, this is what I do, and they send them money and get stuff made, and that's how they make their money. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I mentioned...
In my opinion, I am a collector. I'm not gonna, like I do trades here and there with people and stuff, but, I don't want to sell anything because I like to keep it all. If it was sent to me from someone, I'm not gonna, like they specifically put time into it and energy into it to be sent to me, so.
Right. Well, and I also mentioned that to, number one, to state that this is the kind of person we're talking to, and number two, to make it clear if somebody's curious about getting into this, be aware that if you are trying to take advantage of the prisoners, or you get a response that asks if that's what you're doing and you didn't intend that, it's because there is a market like that. I'm not giving any moral statements about it, but just be aware that that's an ethics issue that's here.
I mean, there's still people, just be honest with them, and, they'll be honest with you. They can't talk about everything, and, you should go into that situation understanding that they can't just talk to you about that, because some people have put it behind them. Some people literally just sit in their cell and all they have to think about is what they did. And I mean, that kind of falls back on us as people. We put them there in that tiny cell and didn't give them interaction with anyone, so all they have to do is just sit around and think about what they did.
Right.
Like everyone deserves that chance to kind of move on and have things to occupy your time that takes your mind off of that stuff. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
So with the collectibles, the art, everything else, how did that start? Where it, like, you started actually displaying it in your home, you started framing things. Like, when did you start actually getting art pieces from them?
I already have like art all over my house because, I have friends that tattoo and, give me paintings and stuff. And
right.
I mean, even those people, I look at it as that's time out of their lives that they dedicated to doing something for me.
Thank you.
So
right.
Anyone can make art for anyone, but these people specifically, picked out of 100 people that they write, they picked and said, hey, I'm going to spend 3 hours of my time and I'm going to draw something for this person and send it to me, so of course I'm going to frame it and hang it in my house. It's art. It doesn't matter who made it.
And it's not to say that all of these people are like, I feel like a lot of people who committed murder, there are some genuine psychopaths. I mean, those do exist. You have your Dexters of the world. A lot of them, once again, they had a bad day, or they're very mentally ill. And there's some pieces you have that are like so weird. I want to talk about the hot sauce and cup glass. Please tell us who the guy was, kind of what he did, and those are just weird. Like, let's describe it.
That's everything that he does. His Haddon Clark, I believe he killed a child, and he does a lot of like Cookie Monster, Girl Scout, weird art where he takes like pictures from the internet and colors over them and adds his own stuff to it. That one in particular is a picture of a Cholula hot sauce and a picture of a little girl next to it doing sign language, and then it explains to you at the bottom the hand motions to say hot sauce in sign language.
But it's very, like, it's a disjointed description of it. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't get that from reading it. I'm not going to walk over and take it off the wall. And the other one, Cup Glass, is the same little girl next to a cup, and I think she's doing something similar.
She's doing the hand motions of how to say cup or glass in sign language.
But what kills me is there is a movement in, like, the fine art world that's called bad art, and it kind of plays back to, like, folk and outsider art. And this looks like something that I would see in a gallery. Like, I can name grad students I went to college with that did stuff like that and were kind of impersonating that, like, outsider look. Yeah. And then here's a legitimate piece of it, and, like, I love that. I would love to have one of those. But I'm kind of a sick ticket, and we all know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of random stuff that comes from people. I mean, it really just depends on what you consider art. I mean,
well, that's everything.
Yeah, I mean, I always get a really big kick out of the picture of the guy that walked into the art gallery in New York and put the banana on the ground, and people started just staring at it like it was art. You know, I mean, that always makes me laugh. Really, it makes me laugh a lot. You know, it's just funny, but those are the same people that would come into my house and be like, "Oh my gosh, why is all of this stuff?" You know,
yeah.
Why?
And I mean, this kind of artwork is not for everyone, and this kind
not
of
at all.
Collecting, and we know that, and that's okay.
I mean, I literally have handprints that people put in ink and put on paper from, you know, people that have killed multiple people, you know, 10 plus.
And that's something I wanted to talk about because it shows up in a lot of these because I'm looking for themes. It looks like reproductions of Gacy's are popular. And then handprints and footprints with, like, text, which is interesting to me because here is the, like, lasting impression of a human body that has taken from a human body. And it's interesting that that's something that's, like, fixating and considered by these guys. Like, you have one dude that's, like, the hand's just huge. And I think, didn't you say he was a terrorist that got beat up, or
no,
murdered a guy's daughter that got beat up?
I believe he was a cop killer.
Okay, that was it. Yeah, and you have I think it was Jablonski that traced his foot and wrote his victims in it. So, like,
yeah, one foot has the victims, and then the other foot has the dates and where and how.
Right.
So.
And it's like like I said, that's so interesting to me because he's, like, connecting that to himself, like it's a part of him. And I mean, I'm not going to say that he thinks about this like somebody who's trained in fine art would, because you are trained to overanalyze everything. But just that he'd, like, organically make that association is fascinating to me.
Yeah, he a lot of the stuff that he does is, you know, political or just comics. You know, he'll send you, like, Bart Simpson. I had a buddy that he sent a letter to yesterday, and it was Jack from Jack in the Box with a bong. You know, just sitting on the envelope, you know, come from prison.
Right.
And I mean, you know, it's just funny, you know, he's 70 or almost 80, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's been there for 20 plus years, and I mean, he still has a sense of humor, I guess, you know, but then, I mean, sometimes, if you can decipher his handwriting and his letters, I mean, they're all pretty
intelligent,
pretty wild, you know. He talks about all of the stuff that he did, and, you know, just kind of goes down the list in order of all of his crimes and how he did them and why.
Well, and he's on death row, too, so there's no coming back from that, because there's a lot of people who don't want to discuss it for personal reasons, but also some don't want to discuss it because their case is being appealed, legal.
Just so many people write to him. I mean, he probably has thousands of people that he writes to. I mean, probably at least thousands from all over the world that write him. I mean, don't expect a reply, you know, in a week.
Right.
So, but yeah, I've been writing him for 4 or 5 months, and I've gotten, you know, 8 or 9 letters from him. He seems like a pretty cool guy. If you can read his handwriting, like I said, he's getting old. He's not getting any younger. He's probably a little dyslexic and doesn't spell too well and has chicken scratch handwriting. I actually kind of made fun of him and told him that his handwriting was crap, and so was mine, so we kind of had something in common. And he told me, a lot of people tell me that I have terrible handwriting, so. He acknowledges the fact that his penmanship is not great.
And that's
Right.
another interesting thing going through the letters is like how different killers tend to kind of have similar kinds of handwriting.
Yeah, it's almost like you can sort of determine the nature of a personality in the handwriting. I mean, I'm sure there
is
whole
forensic
psychology.
handwriting.
Right. But, I mean, the people who have very clear, concise handwriting, I would associate with very planned, organized
Well, and it
style.
seems to be from like having gone through this binder with him, like what's... Because he literally has like a white binder right here that's...
I'd say like a 3-inch white binder that
That's
is chock
full.
full of letters
Yeah, like
and
here's
pictures and memorabilia.
he's pulling out, who is this?
Todd Rizzo.
Todd Rizzo, and what did he do?
He killed someone to see what it would feel like.
Oh, well, I guess it felt like prison.
Yeah. He has really nice handwriting, though. I actually posted a little picture of this, and someone said his T's look like crosses, and a friend was like, T's are crosses.
Yeah. And yeah,
So-
this is so perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it
doesn't
looks
touch
like
lines.
typeface. Yeah.
And then the guy that drew his own lines on the paper, that one was kind of...
That one
Yeah.
was... Yeah, and wasn't he kind of nutty, the guy that drew his
Yeah.
own lines?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because Sam here has some guys that get real excited that he might be a lady. Are you Sam or
Maybe
Samantha?
I should just not going off of Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, Samuel instead, or...
Yeah. There's always a...
You should make up your real first name like Samalaya Ding Dong. This is...
Jim Bob.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just... If you ever, if you do decide to write someone, just know that, if you write to them, you're getting their hopes up, and they're going to look forward to your letter. So don't just write them one time and then just never reply.
Fall off the face of the earth. Yeah.
Because I mean, they're still people and they have feelings, and they get excited, mail day just like we do. Especially like on payday, back in the day, everyone's waiting on the paycheck to be in the mail.
No, I love it when
A lot of those people are, and I just enjoy getting mail, and I kind of just put myself in their situation, and they would probably enjoy mail too. So stamps 35 cents, why not?
So let's, who are probably some of your, because I gotta spam the keywords here, who are some of your more famous letters?
I've got one from, I got a reply from Jodi Arias. She was just basically telling me that she writes too many people, and she couldn't reply, but she was nice enough to send me a letter.
Yeah, and if you don't want to, like, and you have some that you've just bought, like I can see a Manson and a,
Yeah, I have a Manson
Berkowitz, right?
Atwa paper that he signed. Air, trees, water, animals. I have a letter from Richard Ramirez from San Quentin before he was executed.
Nice stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's he's the one with the really horrible teeth too.
Yeah, you have the BTK killer, that wasn't to you, right?
No, that was trades with a couple friends here and there, but for the most part, I just enjoy writing people and getting a reply and seeing how they're doing and listening to their daily lives. I mean, a lot of them do have jobs. They're canteen workers, or they assist the guards, or
Yeah, and
they fold laundry, or stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting to see like what they did before and what they're doing now.
Yeah, and we pay those people like slave labor wages, so that's
Yeah.
part of why like they'll ask for like art supply money, because they're not cheap, and if you're making $1 a day,
Yeah, the guy told me he made $1 a day and he couldn't afford to just spend it on stamps to write me. So
I know like most prisoners are employed like well below minimum wage.
$1 a day.
Well, and then if they have and I'm not going to say why I know this, but I know this for sure, on the podcast anyways. If you're employed through the prison and you have children and you are liable for child support, your child support is taken out of the wages. So some of those guys actually don't make anything.
Look at this. I'm looking at a commissary form that an inmate sent me. Irish Spring bar of soap, $5.41 for a 6-pack. So that's literally an entire week worth of working just
Plus
to buy
more.
soap.
Yeah.
Just to buy soap. So I mean that's kind of crazy. Cheese, $3.86 for 12 pieces. So that's 4 days worth of work for a pack of cheese.
Right.
Can you imagine?
I mean, this is... I'm trying not to get too political, but if you think about the like company stores that a lot of people set up during the Great Depression to trap people into wage slavery, this is the kind of pricing that those took on. I mean, the prison system needs some work.
So, are there prisoners that you will send money to for art supplies to get like some art back, or just send them money for art supplies just to let them have some kind of creative outlet?
A lot of them can send emails.
Right.
And the only thing that I've sent is I've sent them stamps.
Okay.
Just so they can email me back, because it's like one stamp per email or something.
Right.
So I send them, 5 or 6 stamps, and they, email me, and then whenever they run out of stamps. Because I don't want to take money out of their pocket. They're only making $1 or $2 a day. And I mean, they're already writing me a letter, which, to them probably is a whole day's worth of work just to send one letter. So I'll send them, stamps and stuff like that, because, why not? They're taking time out of their day, They're probably having to pay way more for stamps there than we do out here anyways.
Yeah. So, of all of the pieces of murder memorabilia you own, which one's your favorite? Do you have a, like, precious baby? Oh, he looks like I just...
Spot.
Yeah.
You put me on the spot.
Okay, you can have like 2 or 3. Like, you don't have to pick just the one.
I like my Jablonski killing Pogo.
Yeah, that one's pretty
kind of
awesome.
cool. He's cutting him into pieces.
And for those of you that don't know, Pogo the Clown was John Wayne Gacy's other persona, so...
His clown persona.
So he's like literally cut up Pogo the Clown into little bitty bits, and it's this outline, and it's this like Jablonski over the top, and like a banner, and there's like these really bad balloons.
Yeah. And a silhouette of him with a knife, cutting him into pieces.
Yeah, and Pogo's down at the bottom, dismembered, and...
Yeah, and there's like blood puddles. Like
the Glenn Rogers handprints are kind of cool.
Who was Glenn Rogers?
The ones right here on the bottom.
Yeah, well, who was he?
Oh,
For our podcast people?
Yeah. He, I've wrote him a couple of letters a few times, and haven't really gotten a reply, but they move him around a lot, so I have to constantly just keep trying to find his info. Maybe he'll reply. He was known as the cross-country killer.
That would be why they move him around, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they're just moving him around across the country.
Right, so he can get prosecuted in every single state.
Yeah. He was convicted of 2 murders, but he's suspected to be involved in a lot more, so... There's a lot of those where they're convicted for 1 or 2, but they're also, suspected to be tied to, hundreds or 200s or whatever, so...
It's like Al Capone. They never got him for any of the mobster crap. They got him for tax evasion, but at the end of the day, he needed to be in jail, and that's where he ended up, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, yep. I like my, the Rod Farrell Pogo, too. That one's kind of cool.
Which one is the black and white one?
Yeah, it's the one that's just done in pencil. That one's kind of neat.
We call it graphite in the art world, Sam. Graphite.
I will beat you.
Sam's gonna beat me too. It's okay.
That's good.
I don't care.
No, but I do.
It's cool, and it's on my wall. And
when I say things like that, I'm kidding. When I say things like that, I'm kidding.
It's cool.
No, she's not, and I'm going to beat you.
If you look at all of the Pogos, that one is the most well done.
Yeah, he's got some pretty good shading.
So I mean, he spent a lot of time in that, working on that, so...
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a background on it, where most of yours are... I mean, there's not a whole lot of background. This one has, like, he's in the forest, and he's...
Yeah. Well, that's the way that the Pogo is.
Yeah, I know. Down
he
here,
has, like, little trees behind him, but...
So is this, like, unsolicited, and they send you Pogo clowns, and is Pogo a popular... topic for them to draw?
I mean, from what Jablonski has said, his favorite serial killer is John Wayne Gary, which is Gacy, but he always writes John Wayne Gary. So that's his favorite serial killer. I mean, he's a serial killer too, so...
Right, and
his favorite is Gacy, so...
Pogo the Crown.
Pogo the Crown and not Pogo the Clown.
So you said he was dyslexic.
Of course, most of his work is going to be, Pogo, John Wayne Gacy related. He does a lot of renditions of John Wayne Gacy's work, and I'm proud to have 5, 6, 7 of them, so it's pretty cool. Hopefully I'll get more eventually.
So one of the other things that we probably ought to talk about, especially if anybody ever considers collecting this, is provenance, like how it comes from that person. And I mean, these are real easy when people send them directly to you.
But like we were talking earlier before this about John Wayne Gacy's actual artwork and how there's a lot of fakes out there.
Yeah.
So how do you determine the real from the fake, and then what kind of documentation do people provide to determine authenticity?
Most of the people that I mean, there's people that you can contact, that dealt with Gacy, whenever he was alive personally, so they know, hey, I personally got this from him. But a lot of it's word of mouth. And you just kind of have to know who to trust and who not to. A lot of people are out to literally just make money off of you and then disappear. There was a guy the other day that got ripped for $300 for a Manson signature. And he signed his name 50 million different ways, so it's kind of just being smart about it and researching and not just buying the first thing that you see.
Right.
Because there's no true 100% this is how he signs it every time. Every signature is always different. But it's just kind of being smart and being knowledgeable about what to look for and what's a dead giveaway that, hey, this isn't real. There are a lot of fakes, and they all come from up north, I guess you could say. But yeah,
us Southerners don't reproduce. For
just kind of do your research, and if anyone needs to know if anything's real or not, just let me know, and I can send you to those people that can help you, that dealt with those people personally and would be able to let you know a little bit more about it. Stuff like that. So
I will say that if you are interested in this, we're trying to keep Sam's personal life personal. So just email us, artiswear@gmail.com, and we'll start filtering through. If you have any questions about collecting, about anything,
if
contact
you're trying
us.
to get rid of something that you think Sam might want.
Right.
Or you have someone that you want me to write.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new people to write.
Yeah, and this is because we don't want it to blow back on Sam and get him fired or something.
Right.
Your dream correspondence, right now, if you could have somebody respond to you, who would it?
I tried to write Berkowitz the other day. I sent him a letter probably 5 months ago, and it got returned. I literally put it in the mailbox, and then my friend told me that they moved him. So I knew that it wasn't going to make it, so I wrote him again. Maybe he'll reply. I don't really have anyone that I would just sit around and hope for a reply from, because I try not to get my hopes up,
Right.
Because most of them, probably 60% of them won't write you back, and then 20% will write you back, but they'll want you to send the money, and then the other 20% will write you back all day long, and then the other one, then probably 5% out of the last 20, that will write you back, they'll just write you all the time, and you'll get 100 letters from them, forever. But I mean, still, them just getting one letter from you makes their day, so why not?
So, how big would you say the market is for artwork like this? I mean, obviously, it's going to be higher for somebody well-known like Gacy.
Yeah.
Lower for somebody that's not in the news.
The people that are hard to get replies from are the people that their stuff sells for the most. But like I said, I don't really mess with the whole selling
Right.
part of everything. This is just kind of from personal experience and just kind of browsing around. But there's some pretty good websites, that have some pretty good stuff, and it's all pretty reasonable. It really just depends on the name. Bigger names, bigger price.
Right.
Rarity is part of what you're talking about.
Yeah, some person might have only written 5 people, so there's only 5 letters that exist from that person. So of course they're going to be expensive.
Yeah, I imagine
As
anything from
opposed
Albert Fish would be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Ed
insane.
Gein, Albert Fish, all the people, most of the people that are no longer with us.
They're dead, and then
Right.
There's no way that you can ever get anything new from that person. So whatever's out there is what exists.
And I mean, and that's true in the fine art world once
Yeah.
again. I was also going to ask, obviously, if you get enough of this stuff, it starts to have a decent value. And with the fine art world, you would then insure it. Is there actually companies that handle insurance for this kind of collectible, or have you ever looked into that?
I have no idea. I know that whenever I do my taxidermy and wet preservations and stuff at conventions, like tattoo conventions and stuff, I have to have insurance on my booth.
Mm-hmm.
Because, most of the stuff is preserved, and it's sitting in alcohol, so it's flammable.
Yeah.
So I have to have insurance on, like, $1 million worth of insurance.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I could talk to my insurance agent. I mean, I have homeowners insurance, so it's in my house
Right.
if anything happened, but I don't really know if there's a definite way of saying, hey, that's fact worth this much money,
Right.
It's kind of all for, it kind of goes with anything. You pay what you feel like it's worth, Like if I see something that's super common and I want it really bad and I can only find one for a high price, I'm going to spend the money and buy it, or I can buy it the next year when there's 100 of them and it's only $5. It just depends on how bad you want it and how much you're willing to spend, I guess.
Right.
That is how the capitalist market works.
Yeah, there's not really a true price, true value. It's all kind of, I'm not going to say that because, a lot of the people that do have websites and stuff, they kind of know, how much they can sell what for.
Yeah, what it usually...
Yeah, there's kind of like a... There's kind of a fine line,
This is how any collectible market works. There's like your expected average,
Yeah.
and like there's some. I collect a lot of Tokidoki, which is a designer, and I watch eBay like a hawk for some of the Barbies he's put out because I don't want to pay $900 for a Barbie. But I would still like that Barbie.
Oh, my wife would kill me. See, and it's cool because it's a hobby that literally, I've done trades with people and stuff, and worked out deals here and there, but for the most part, I just use one stamp, and I don't look at it as like a possession. I just look at it as time from someone's day or time from, someone's week or whatever. Yeah, it's art and yeah, it's cool and, I hang it in my house, but I don't look at it and say, wow, I just look at it and I'm like, man, I'm really glad they gave me the time of day, and I'm glad that we can have this pen pal friendship and, like I write them and they write me back. And I know that it means a lot. I'm kind of a sentimental person when it comes to that. And I try to keep everything because of that. I'm a hoarder, I guess. I guess I'm a hoarder. I'm going to have to buy a bigger house soon.
I have to say his house is very beautiful, and whoever decorated it has done a wonderful job. So
My wife did not want my house to end up this way. She specifically gave me one room in the house, and I filled it, and it overflowed, and now it looks like a circus/art museum exploded all over my house. And I ask her on the daily, are you glad that you let me do this? And she's like, yeah, it's cool.
Right.
We just need to move some stuff around so it's not just one wall of art and one wall of this and one wall of that. And so we're going to get in here and kind of rearrange a little bit and kind of make it. But I don't know. I kind of feel like if you can walk into my house and make it past my couch and the wall of all of the serial killer stuff, then we'll be okay.
Well, and I've been in the homes of some very prominent art collectors, and this is kind of what they look like. Like, even if these were like multi-million-dollar pieces of artwork, this is kind of what ends up happening if you're like a legitimate collector that loves it. And I also want to say, I think your attitude about appreciating the time it takes to make something, I know that some of that comes from the fact that you're a craftsman, but that's a great way to look at any kind of art collecting, because time is money.
Yeah, it really is.
Just because you love doing it doesn't mean... My friend just, loves to draw, and, I'm totally sure she could draw me a pony because I like ponies. Your friend doesn't want to do it for free, dude.
Yeah. I always kind of look at it like, I take my hourly wage at work, and I say, okay, I make, however much I make per hour at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that and I say, okay, I spend 40 hours a week at work. The time that I don't spend at work and I spend at home is more valuable than my time at work. But I can't say, hey, I'm going to charge $40 an hour for a piece that takes me 2 weeks. No one's going to pay $300 for a skull or something, and so I say, okay, I'll do it for $40, but someone's still like, will you take 30? And I'm like, you're literally taking 3 months of my life.
Yeah.
And I look at it as time aspects. I don't look at it as money or any of that. I look at, I literally spent this much time altogether total on this one piece. And that's my time that I'm never going to get back that you're trying to buy and you're trying to haggle with me on price,
Well, and that's the thing. I think, I know a lot of people with MFAs, and You have the debt that goes with a college education, and now the experience and dedication that goes with a higher education as well. And people want to pay you $10 an hour for the thing you're painting, and it's like, no, that doesn't even cover supplies.
Supplies!
Because, like, some of these people in your binder, they ask for Prismacolors, and I know what those cost.
Yeah, they're
like,
expensive.
They really are. Like, that's a $5 pencil sometimes.
Yeah. So, and you think they make $1 a day, they work an entire week for one color.
Yeah. So, imagine if 3 days of work was a colored pencil. That would,
I mean, a lot of them, they'll do handprints and stuff, and they'll just use coffee, on white paper. Or, they'll be creative and find ways to make things, But, I mean, that's art.
Well, and the other thing, like, anybody who's, like, still simmering at this point and angry that we're talking about people that have killed people.
To be fair, we're 55 minutes in. If you're this angry, you should have turned it off a long time ago. Carry on.
Not everyone on death row is guilty. We have killed plenty of innocent people.
I agree.
And the prison system is horrible. They are suffering in there. You don't have to worry about that. The colored pencil means they might not shank a guard. So, so let's leave you with that thought on Valentine's Day.
I mean, there are people that, go to prison and they're worse in prison than they were out. And then they're the people that go to prison and they're like, hey, I don't have anything better to do with my time. I'm going to read. I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to make art. I'm going to help people, I mean, there are people like that. I mean, people have the ability to change. We are people.
That's one of the things I really admire about two of the surviving female Manson members. They've really, like, turned around a lot to, like, do female rehabilitation in the prison system and helping women get out of cults. And, I mean, they've taken what ruined their lives and are trying to actually help people. So that is admirable.
It's really sad to me because just from personal experience, from people that I've written and gotten replies from and, continue to write, most of the least supportive people in their lives are their families. They committed their crime and had a bad day, and now their entire family, everything they ever known, is gone.
Right.
Their kids don't associate, their grandkids don't associate, their mothers or fathers, grandparents.
Disowned.
No one ever goes and visits these people, the people. The parents and the people that are closest to them that should be there and the most forgiving are just gone, like they completely just disregarded this person and threw him away because, they had a bad day. Or, like I said, I'm not really defending them because some of it is premeditated and there are some people that have really bad mental issues. And and now they're in reformatories or psychiatric hospitals and they're getting the help they need, but,
some people fall through the cracks. Yeah, but... There are a lot of people, the whole Texas doesn't mess around with executing people. There's so many people on death row in Texas that have been there for over 20 years. I mean, it's wild to even think about it.
It's wild to me to think about that. And then, like, we put down a man who killed his family that had an IQ of, like, 76.
But the media probably made it
a
huge ordeal.
They did because he was mentally handicapped, like so mentally handicapped.
That from my research, I've kind of noticed that, someone can kill 20 people and no one notices, and they sit on death row forever, and then one person kills one person, media blows it up, and they're executed 3 months later.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really kind of pick and choose, and if you not to be childish, but it's not fair to look at it that way. I mean, it's really not.
Well,
and I'm not saying that I want the people to die, but I'm not defending them either. I mean, no one deserves to die. But think about it. We're killing someone for killing someone.
Yeah, it's, at the end of the day, we're picking and choosing about when we end a life.
Yeah, like no one should be allowed to play God, and I mean, they shouldn't have been allowed to play whatever you believe in, but at the end of the day, we're still killing someone for killing someone.
So, yeah, here's the last question. How has this interaction with people on death row and life in prison shaped your impression of death row and, like, public execution?
I mean, we're killing someone for killing someone.
So, yeah,
I have a lot of people that, they say, oh, well, I can only do my art in the summer whenever the sun's, whenever it's brightest in my cell. That's whenever I do my art. You know, and then there's some people that say, you know, like, hey, I can't even see. You know, it's so dark in here that I have to go buy a flashlight, but they won't sell me batteries, you know, because I'm not a certain level. You know, there's different levels. And so they're like, you know, I can buy this, but I still need this for this to work. You know, so I mean, it really makes you think. The one guy that was like, you know, I'm in a space as big as a parking space for 22 to 24 hours a day, really makes you think. You know, and it makes you appreciate being able to get up off the couch and go to the restroom, and you know, it taking a little bit of a trip. Some people might be mad they have to take 15 steps to go to the restroom. You know, but I mean, think about that next time you have to get up and go and make a sandwich. Like, you can get up and go and make a sandwich.
If you want to go get coffee, you can go get coffee.
You know, like, these
right.
people are in, you know, a tiny space. They can literally use the restroom, lay down, and cook at the same time, and never move.
Well, the other thing that always gets me, and being able to take a shower when you want to.
Yeah.
Like, if you've ever been in a position where you couldn't do that for an extended period of time, it's hell. Like, you just feel greasy and disgusting and, like, subhuman. And, like, these guys, like, they can wash their face, they can take a whore bath, but they have to have, like, special permission to go take a shower.
Yeah.
Aw,
I guess I kind of flipped your question, but I mean, it just really makes you appreciate everything that you really do have.
That's
Right.
cool.
You know, things that most people would find frustrating on a daily basis, you know, like a traffic jam.
Yeah.
These people will never sit in traffic ever for the rest of their lives. You know, I mean, in a way, they kind of have it good. They don't have to drive from here to there, you know? I mean, that'd be nice, but I mean, they're never going to get to experience that, you know? Like, I have a friend that he did 20 years. And I mean, he went in when he was 18 and he came out, and he's like 40 now, and he still looks like he's 18 because he was on death row. And he got out. They had to set him on death row to keep him away from other people, but he got out and he still looks like he's 20 years old. But he got out and he didn't know what a cell phone was, or all of these things that existed while he was, you know. I saw a thing that really upset me the other day. A guy, apparently he did 30 years. And they found out that they had wrongfully convicted him, and they said, oh, okay, here you go. We're going to release you. And they gave him $75. And the guy was like, my entire life is over. I'm 70-something years old. You know, you wrongfully convicted me, and I did 30 years, and you're going to pay me $75 and send me on my way.
Good luck.
Yeah, he's suing them for, like, millions.
Oh, yeah, that's
Well,
easy.
and, like, I had a family once approach me about their son had committed a heinous crime and then killed himself. And his name is all over the internet because of what he did, and it's associated with their family, who's pretty prominent in the area they're from, and I'm being vague for a reason.
Yay, vagaries.
And they wanted me to get his name off the internet because it was hurting some of them's job aspects, and it's making this otherwise very philanthropic family have a hard time, like, just going about their lives. And, you know, their son was mentally ill. He's dead. The crime's over. And, you know, I had to explain to them that, like, news web pages have the most, there's this thing called link juice. They have, like, the highest ranking link juice outside of educational sites. So I could work really hard to bury it, but I'd really just be taking their money. So that's the other thing. These people that have committed these crimes, that's going to haunt them online for the rest of their lives, even if they were innocent.
It's there. It's kind of there forever.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you, Internet.
Yes. And doesn't that make you want to snuggle up with your lover on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for doing
You're
this.
very welcome.
Do you want to plug your Instagram again?
It's at Dead Things in Jars.
And like I said, if you guys want to email us and get some information to Sam, artiswear@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, and you can leave YouTube comments, messages on YouTube. We're on Twitter. I'm at the Gumby Cat on Instagram, and
Nobody needs to follow me.
I just gave them my Instagram so they can message me.
Right.
yeah, well,
message
some
and all
people
that.
don't know how to use Instagram. I don't know.
They
If you
got
have
them.
an Instagram, you should know how to use it. I would like to think.
They got them funny pictures and stuff.
What are photos?
How do you take them funny pictures and
I
upload them?
I will say that I hope that I don't sound ridiculous on this, because I did a live video on Instagram the other day, and I had a lot of people say, we did not expect you to sound like that. And so I was like, 3 days after my surgery, so I was like painkillers, just woke up and I was like pre-coffee. So I felt like I had to do another live video to like show that, I didn't really sound that way, so...
I'm really not on crack.
Well, there's another thing I will plug for Valentines, and if you want me to cut this after I say it, just let me know. But in honor of Sam, have your lover check your nuts, because you never know when testicular cancer is going to pop up.
For sure. Check your nuts.
I will say also for girls that most of the time your significant other partner will find your breast cancer before you do. Because they're feeling your boobs more than you are.
Well, and dudes can get breast cancer too.
Spend your Valentine's Day inspecting each other.
Yeah, please fill each other up for Valentine's.
That's right. Get your loving on for your health. I've been Katie Gibbs.
I'm Vanessa Van Alstyne. This is Sam.
Hey, Sam. Bye, Sam.
This has been an episode of ArtIswear.
Woo!
ArtIswear would like to thank Joe Giggs for the intro-outro. Joe Giggs is not a murderer, so hire him for your next gig in New York City.
Not convicted.
Our producer is Jillian Gale. Jillian Gale owns Sybil Press and is part of the Flying Buttresses in Austin. Also, all samples taken from Iridile's Conant project.
Jillian does not have bodies in her backyard.
We promise.
We promise, Jillian.
Awkward pause.
We promise.
This has been ArtIswear. Have a creative day.
Bye.